Hi, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and today I am looking at the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition Super Powers Companion. Let's roll it. Before I begin, I'd like to thank my members for supporting the channel. If you would like to help DM Tales keep growing, I would be most grateful for anyone who wants to become a coffee contributor. You'll get some members-only posts, live streams, when I hit 10 members, that is, and maybe even some bloopers. You also get the stickers and things like that that mark you as a member of a channel that every channel gets. The link to join is in the description below. Savage Worlds Adventure Edition is my favorite game that I've just not had a chance to run or play yet. It's a fantastic genre-neutral game which boasts some simple role resolution and a bit of crunch for folks who enjoy optimizing things. While there are rules for making a superpowers character in the core rulebook, it's really the Superpowers Companion which brings comic book style action to the game. So let's take a look at this book. The SWADE Super Powers Companion opens by presenting a wonderful new bunch of hindrances and edges players can use for their character, each of which is pulled right off the pages of a comic book. Characters can have a dependent, hello Aunt May, a secret identity, a need to transform to access their powers like Colossus, or maybe even have a vulnerability to a special material. Kryptonite, anyone? Many of these new hindrances have mechanical effects in the game, but quite a few exist only as role-playing prompts to drive an adventure. People finding out Peter Parker is Spider-Man was the trigger for a blockbuster movie, so imagine how it could impact an adventure for your players as they tried to mitigate or undo the damage caused by their secret identity being revealed to the world. Really, really cool stuff. The new edges are also filled with wonderful comic book tropes like the best there is. This allows them to spend more points on a specific ability than they'd normally be allowed to do. A team leader, dynamic duo, and sidekick also highlight different comic book themes. It's all really well done. The new edge which matters most, however, is a free edge every superhero gets. That's superpowers. SWADE Superheroes games are designed with 5 different power levels in mind, with 1 being street level or young heroes and 5 being heroes who deal with big cosmic threats. Each level has a number of superpower points to spend on abilities, as well as a maximum number of points which can be spent on any single ability. Now, these points are not like the power points that are used to activate abilities from the various arcane backgrounds in the core rulebook. Superpower points are actually used to buy and augment powers. They're spent and they're done. Each power has a listed cost in the superpower points, and many include modifiers which augment that ability. These modifiers alter the point total for taking that power in the first place, and many of them increase the cost, but there are some modifiers which put limitations on a power and reduce the total cost to purchase it, like saying, this is touch only, I can't project the power. I suppose the best way to explain all of this is by giving you an example. Say I wanted to play a power level 2 speedster. That gives me 30 superpower points total to spend, with 10 being the maximum number of points I can spend on any one ability. However, if I take the secret identity hindrance, I can also use that major hindrance to take the best there is edge, which would allow me then to spend up to 15 points on a single power, like speed. So if I want to be really fast, I'm going to decide to spend 13 points on the speed ability, which puts my speedster's top speed at about 1,200 miles an hour. That leaves me with 2 points to spend. I decide I want the speedster to be both maneuverable and able to run on water, also up buildings, and so my speedster has spent 15 points on the speed power and also has 15 more points to spend. That's not bad. I enjoy how creating heroes is handled in the book. Power levels allow the GM to set up a level of game they want to play, but it's really easy to use the secret identity trope to acquire the edge, which allows players to stretch the limits just a bit, which, as it should be for superheroes, makes them stand out. All the included powers are listed in Chapter 4, and as Savage World is great at doing, ends with a table summary of all the powers on page 93. It's all set up really, really well. Aside from the Superpowers Edge, the Superpowers Companion adds a number of new rules to the game in order to make it feel more like a comic book. There's rules to govern the amount of knockback a super strength character will deal to a target, punching them through walls and such. You can combine abilities to increase either the chance to hit or damage, and even do stunts using a character's powers. Stunts all cost a penny to pull off and have some serious in-game effects. Push, for example, allows a character to temporarily reconfigure a power with 5 more power points and break the power limit of the game if the GM allows. This is pretty much every time someone said, "Run faster, Barry," on the Flash TV show. Death and defeat are also given a comic book spin, as both superheroes and villains rarely die in comic books. Instead, lethal damage triggers a vigor roll, and the result indicates how a character responds. Critical failures, they do trigger the character going out in a blaze of glory, but successes just knock the character out with an injury. Failures and raises alter those outcomes a bit, but the general gist is the same. Chapter 3 ends with a list of several super styles, as well as the power levels which best fit that style of play. Each style has a write-up explaining how it might work at the table, as well as a list of suggested rules which would fit well in that type of world. I like how this is all set up, as it gives GMs a nice range of options from which they can build their games, but I'd also have liked to see this be a whole chapter on its own. Some overarching advice on how to create a superhero world which flowed into the different super styles would have been a great addition to this book. The included Rogues Gallery, pages 97 to 178, takes up the bulk of the book, and it was both really cool and a tad bit frustrating. One of the innovations added to the Superpowers Companion is how an NPC's key stats are displayed in their entries. Each character portrait has 4 small circles along its border, marking pace, parry, toughness, and defenses. And while I had some difficulty remembering what each of the stats were, someone who's a lot more familiar with Savage Worlds Adventure Edition would not have any problems with this at all. Each entry also has a short write-up on how the character came to become their alter ego, and 1 or 2 adventure ideas along the lower third of the page. These elements are all terrific, and I enjoy the character art in it very, very much. I do think I would have liked to see more heroes in the gallery, though. That's probably my only takeaway from that. My biggest struggle in the gallery is the middle third of the page, which lists the NPC's stats and special abilities. Now, look, there's nothing wrong with this section. It's just a list of basic information needed to run the character during an encounter. But since I am not as fluent in Savage Worlds Adventure Edition as I am in some other games, reading them felt a little bit like homework. Now, at the moment, I don't have an instinct for the mechanical impacts the different edges and hindrances have, or what all the references mean for the different superpowers. I'm fluent enough to know where to look in the rulebook to get the information I need. I just don't have the intuition that just allows me to go, oh, that's what that means, yet. Look, learning a new system is a lot like learning a new language, and it does take a while to get into the mindset of how it's constructed. They all have their own different dialects. So if I spend some more time pondering SWADE so I can run it at some point, which is something I am wanting to do, I know a lot of my struggles will go away as the shorthand that's presented in this Rogues Gallery becomes a little bit more familiar. So this is all to say this. If you come to SWADE and the Superpowers Companion in particular and feel a tad overwhelmed, don't feel discouraged, because learning a new language, it takes time. Perhaps my biggest disappointment with the book is that there's no included setting. There are big bad adversaries in the book and the hint of a past linked to another SWADE book, Necessary Evil, but that's it. The alien big bads, the Visori, are included in an appendix, and in that section there's enough to use the Visori as adversaries, which is nice, but there's no information to what the world looks like following their defeat decades in the past of the assumed starting point for a Superpowers Companion campaign. At one point, for example, it's revealed in the book that New York City had been used as a prison, but after the Visori were defeated, what happened to the city? We just don't know. It feels like a Superpowers Companion shouldn't need to depend on another setting book to give context for a lot of the lore that's hinted at inside the book. It's just something that missed for me. The SWADE Super Powers Companion is a 6.5 by 10-inch book, which is a Royal Octavo size book. And one of these days, I'm actually going to have to go do a deep dive into all the different sizes and binding types because they call to me. The book weighs in at 202 pages, though the last actual content is the index on page 198. It is stitched bound and includes 3 book ribbons, which is something that makes me do a mental happy dance. Yes! It is, however, printed on glossy paper, and that's always a small ding for me. The tactile experience of paging through a glossy page book just isn't as pleasant, and the glare off the pages is a real big struggle for me personally, so it's not something I enjoy. The front cover of the book has a glorious comic scene with 2 superpower beings in a massive fight, hinting at frenetic motion the way comic books should do. And the SWADE logo is displayed below. It's all a great look. The title font on both the front and back covers is a distressed block sans serif font, which I adore. The distressing is more pronounced on the back cover, so I'm not sure if the effect is from the font itself or if it was added later, but I'm here for it. It just looks cool. The rear cover actually displays the book's price in the upper left header and the SKU in the right. Very easy to find that information. I applaud. Below it is a terrific riff off of the "with great power" Spider-Man quote, along with a blurb describing the contents of the book. It's all really well done. Even better, the interior cover pages show a wider view of the conflict that graces the front cover, and it is just beautiful. I don't typically shout out artists' names in my videos because I fear I'll credit the wrong person for a piece, but Aaron Riley did a fantastic job with that cover piece. I love it. The book is well constructed, beautiful, and fits on the shelf alongside the other Savage Worlds Adventure Edition books perfectly. All of it is well done. The book's interior is a 2-column layout with a nice size font and good spacing between the lines and the paragraphs. Nothing feels cramped, and that's a setup I always appreciate. The body text is an easy reading serif font, while headers utilize a block serif font with some nice looking glyphs. The C in particular, it just looks really cool. The way that the C angles outward at the mouth is really wild. There's 3 heading levels in the book. Top level headings mark out new sections and are bordered above and below by a decoration which reminds me of a folder in a computer's graphical user interface. That's the feel it gives me. Those borders are a nice purple, while the font itself is red with a subtle silver outline. The second level headings have no box borders but utilize the same font, including the outline, as the first level headings, though at a smaller size. Both the first and second level headings are center aligned. Third level headings utilize the same font as the other headings, but are smaller still, and they are black, though it does retain the silver border. And unlike the other 2 heading levels, the third level headings are left justified. One interesting quirk I found in the book is that second level headings are not always used. If there are no subsections under the first level heading beyond a list of options, the heading will go from level 1 to level 3, and, well, it just works. Chapter titles take up the upper third of the right page of a spread and utilize an outline version of the cover font with a lovely bronze border. The title itself is surrounded with a border to the left and below, which makes it feel like a computer interface. That seems to be the general feel that's been going here. And every chapter title is accompanied by a spectacular piece of full-page artwork on the left page of the spread. Looks really nice. There's 2 types of callouts in the book. The first is typically a single column callout with a light blue background, although there are occasionally 2-column versions of it. And the other is a gold background, which is typically 2 columns. Although I didn't see any hard rule which differentiates one from the other, though the blue callouts tend to be a little bit more text-driven than the gold. Bullet lists are simple affairs, deviating from the typical black dot in favor of a red square, which complements the text well. Bullet list items are also introduced with bold text, so the topic of the bullet is never in doubt. It all just works. Really well done. Headers and footers are interesting. Headers utilize the heading font with a thick red outline and a slight drop shadow. The book title is shown on the left page while the chapter title is on the right. The header is also set in a metallic decoration which overlays the distressed red border that surrounds each spread, giving it a cool layered effect. Footers blend into the red border and give it the illusion of being a metal tab sticking out from the page. Pretty cool. The page number, which is blue text with a white border, is displayed in the outer margins of the spread. The overall effect is really well done. Despite not having a fleshed out setting or a detailed process for designing a superhero world, I do like this book a lot. I think I'll like it even more when I become more and more fluent with Savage Worlds' mindset, but that's going to take a little bit of time. I will say that SWADE is designed for tactical play using minis. Ranges are given in inches and different abilities call for certain blast templates to be used. So that's a core part of how the game works. And I'm uncertain how such a tactical design would work for something as over the top and as explosive as superheroes. So I'm actually interested to see this in action at some point. Now, I will say the Super Powers Companion does add some cool rules, like knockback, to make it feel more like a comic book. So I'm hopeful that SWADE handles this feel just fine, but I'd like to use it at the table to make sure. Drat. Now, if you want to pick up SWADE Super Powers Companion right now, you can grab it from Pinnacle Entertainment Group's website. Print and PDF combos are $39.99, while the PDF alone is $19.99. It's definitely worth picking up if you're a Savage Worlds fan who wants to play some superheroes. I am just diving into the Sentinel Comics RPG, and so far, I'm intrigued, and I cannot wait to share it with all of you. After I complete that review, I'll be diving into the Marvel Multiverse RPG, though it looks more and more like that might be a bleed into December because reviews, they take a lot of work, and these are some big books. After that, I'm going to be looking at the Electric State and the new Dragonbane book, Path of Glory, which looks really cool. And I will be at PAX Unplugged on Friday and Saturday, so if you're planning on being there, let me know, because it would be fun to bump into some folks. Finally, if you are near the South Jersey, Philly area, or can get here, I've got event submissions open for EcclesiaCon 25, which will take place March 28th through 30th in Palmyra, New Jersey. Proceeds are being split 75-25 between the fantastic literacy group, booksmiles.org, and Central Baptist Church's roof replacement loan, so we can keep the building doing cool things like having game conventions. 75% is going to Booksmiles. So come on out, run a game or two, and help us do a bit of good. Until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.